Welcome to the St. Charles County Correspondent. I'm Noah Brandt, and I'm here with my good friend and co-publisher Sam Safa, and we have a lot of great stories to talk about today. Sam, how you doing, man? I've got to see a little insight into your home, and it seems like you're making some great progress on rejiggering your whole second floor in preparation for your second child.
Yeah, we're making a lot of progress. I'm in my former office. Really, the last thing that has come out of to come out of this office will be my desk where I'm sitting now. But we're getting stuff moved in. I've assembled all the furniture. We're building out the closet behind me. So hopefully, in Labor Day was kind of our soft target, which I think we're going to hit very soon. I mean, that's next Monday. So I think we're running on track, on time, and complete, as they say in the manufacturing world. And we're looking forward to baby number two this Christmas. But before we start our show, I think it would be appropriate to acknowledge that we've reached 1 year since Wentzville hometown hero, so to speak, Jared Schmitz, passed away in the bombing in Afghanistan. We put a link up, sort of summarizing, Noah, I think really masterfully, the community response. There were 5 or 6 public responses that the community came out and supported Jared and his family for. And we didn't even mention his massive funeral and the procession that ensued. That was all over in St. Louis County at Jefferson Barracks. But we just covered St. Charles County. Check it out if you haven't, folks. It's at our website, SCCC at Substack, sccc.substack.com. You can find
Yeah,
it
it's
there.
great to recap that, and such a sad day. And I remember just when that happened about a year ago, year ago today, or a year and a couple days ago, and it was such a shock. It's like we are not used to, as a community and as a country, people sort of dying in combat like that, dying in a war zone, and that whole week or two was just so chaotic. It was like a movie. Those scenes from the airport, and it just hit so close to home, losing a hometown boy like that. But yeah, I mean, the community's reaction, it made you proud to be from here.
No, I couldn't agree more. And his father, Mark, has turned this tragedy really into something that you can be just really moved by. He has a nonprofit
Mm.
now called the Freedom 13. And at the last I checked, they're close to raising $500,000 in between the time they started and now, which is a large feat. They had a fundraiser not too long ago, actually down in Augusta. I think it was on I may have bad information, but I think it was on the Miss Augusta, the yacht that the Hoffman brothers are keeping down there now.
Wow.
So um, I know 2 things. I know Hoffman is building stuff out. I know a couple people who have began to work for the Hoffman companies. Some have gone from the chamber over to Hoffman Enterprises. And second, I know that Mark used it. Mark Schmitz used it for a fundraiser recently. So uh, good things I think are happening, but it does bear for us to keep in mind as we do the show. And we've got some interesting things to talk about that are happening now. One though, sad. Have to start with this. One
But
dead
interesting.
after
Sad but interesting.
Sad but interesting. Here's the headline: One
Yeah.
dead after train hits car in St. Charles County. An ambulance district spokesman said the crash happened at Dwiggins Road near Highway 94 around 4 p.m.
On the 29th.
on the 29th of August. So this week, as we're recording it just not long ago, one person was killed after a train struck a car in St. Charles County on Monday afternoon. The police said the crash happened around 4 o'clock, and the Post said the driver of the car tried to cross the tracks ahead of an eastbound train and was struck.
This is something that you really don't hear about too often anymore. This is
Truly
something
not.
this is something from, like, yeah, from something that you think of, from the 19th or 20th century. It's obviously very serious, and I'm so sad for the person who died. It says that the crossing does not have any crossing arms or gate. Um, a train does make a pretty loud noise, though, as it's coming down near the end. So I guess the driver was probably trying to beat it. Didn't want to get stuck behind it.
Yeah, I'm not really sure where this is in St. Charles County. It must have been
Near
rural.
near Highway 94 in West Alton.
Oh, so it's way up there. It's really rural up in West Alton.
Yeah, it looks like the near the yeah. We'll link to the map. We'll link to the Google map of exactly where it happened. But
Yeah,
looks like looks like a rural area, but no, extremely sad. And
it is
there's
sad.
just there used to be, there used to be so much more train traffic even in sort of residential areas, and I think that they've been able to divert a lot of that so there's less. But yeah, this was in a rural area, and it was something that is amazing. I remember learning a lot about this during sort of the worst parts of COVID back in 2020 when we were having all the supply, quote unquote, supply chain disruptions. And particularly, right, there's a lot of trouble with getting truck drivers, and truck drivers were getting sick, all these different things. And they were talking about the amount of freight that still travels on trains, and it's really amazing. Such a significant portion of just like the things, both sort of raw materials, things like coal or lumber, but then even finished goods that travel on trains. And then they still, obviously a freight train stops at a train station, and they still need a truck driver to go the last mile. But it can save a lot of money if you can sort of get the stuff on a train. So it's like the freight trains, and they're overall extremely economical to operate because you're just paying for the one locomotive, and that one locomotive, which is usually on diesel at this point, it can carry a whole lot of freight. So trains are still extremely necessary, even if we don't interact with them all the time. And yeah, got to stop at train tracks. You gotta look both ways across the train
You
tracks.
truly do.
Whenever we go to Six Flags St. Louis, Sam, my wife will always say, "Look both ways before you walk, into the train tracks."
That's smart. It's a good thing, and I think something that can help kids. We were just at the zoo not long ago, last weekend, I think, and we rode the train and taught my daughter, 1 years old. Those little things come down, make a noise, you stop. Even if it looks
Yep.
like you can make it, you always be safe, and then you can wave at the people. Sad
I want
story.
to say before we end this, Sam. No, do you have something you want to say about the story? I have something I want to say about the zoo.
I don't have anything else to add about the story. I'd love to hear your take on the zoo.
Here's the thing about the zoo. Okay, I went to the zoo as well earlier last week, and it was my first time to the zoo in years. The St. Louis Zoo. It was a delightful time. The people at the zoo do a great job. I went to the dinosaur area for the first time. Did you go to this when you were
Oh,
there?
we passed it. We didn't go in.
So, there used to be they called it the children's zoo.
Yep.
The children's zoo, which was more or less a petting zoo, and you paid like $5 extra. It was not included. And it wasn't my cup of tea as like a teenager, but I think it's nice to have a petting zoo for little kids. It connects them to animals. It's like a real thing. Like this is an animal you can touch. And they've replaced it with this dinosaur exhibit, which was interesting and cool. Just a bunch of big animatronic dinosaurs, but I do not really think it belongs at the zoo. I think it was more of a theme park attraction because those animals, though they were theoretically real once, are not currently real. They even had in this location, they had like a zookeeper lady who held like a little puppet of a baby dinosaur and was like to the kids, like, "Do you want to touch the baby dinosaur?" And I think that's an inappropriate melding of fantasy and reality. Since zoos are not like amusement parks, they are about showing real fauna that exist on this earth right now.
That's quite the take. Quite the take. I can't say
Yeah.
that I disagree with you, although, as a St. Charles County resident, I really don't have any standing to complain about the St. Louis Zoo. St. Louis County ponies up their tax dollars, and nonprofit donors can donate to their nonprofit and become a zoo member, um, which I suppose my wife is one. But yeah, that's something to think about.
Going to the zoo that often, good for her. Yeah, but it was a cool exhibit, and I imagine, especially if you have a boy between the ages like 3 and 8, I could really see them really thriving in that dinosaur area. Sam, here's something interesting that happened the other day, 2 days ago, on something like Tuesday night or something. My wife and I were walking with our baby and dog outside, and a car, like a sedan that is completely unmarked, pulls up pulls up side by side towards us and says, "We're from FEMA. Do you have any flood damage in your home?" And I'm like, and I had heard that FEMA was going around, so I'm just like, "Oh no, we don't. Thanks for asking." And they left. And my wife is like, "Was that real? Like, were they like trying to kidnap us or something?" I think it was real. But Sam, take us into the story about FEMA setting up an office here in St. Charles County and what they're doing, even going door to door
Well,
sometimes.
as everybody remembers, we had coverage of this as it happened, the late flood of the last week of July 2022, about a month ago now. torrential rains. We set a record for St. Charles County, the most rain in 24 hours ever. I think it was over 12 inches, 13 inches near Flint Hill, which set the record. It may have even set the record for the state. I'm a little rusty on that now. But essentially, what happens, Noah, is when there is a lot of damage, you have to meet a threshold to qualify for federal assistance. In St. Charles County, it's X amount of millions of dollars. In St. Louis County, it's $3.7 million. It's set on the population. And so St. Charles County is probably somewhere south of 3 million. I knew it once. And so once the county executive decides, hey, we have met this threshold, there's more than $3 million worth of damage in our county, they go to the governor who can declare a state of emergency, which Governor Parson did. And they can request a state of a declaration of emergency from the president, who can then send in FEMA to allocate federal resources to local homes, which happened. So from the rains, St. Louis County, St. Charles County, and St. Louis City all received emergency declarations from the president after meeting their threshold. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, FEMA can come in and they have set up a number of disaster relief centers helping people recover from this flood. Here are the top line numbers from the region, just from the three counties I mentioned, the city, St. Louis, and St. Charles County. FEMA has approved $26.5 million in assistance to renters and homeowners. These aren't to businesses, these are to renters and homeowners. 8,300 households have been approved by FEMA for individual assistance. And the National Flood Program, insurance program, has paid $12.9 million for claims by policyholders. And then the Small Business Administration's paid somewhere close to $10 million for businesses. So, all that to be said, FEMA has set up relief services like headquarters around the region, and two of them are in St. Charles County. One just opened in O'Fallon, which is what you're referring to, Noah. One is right off of Zumbel at the Developmental Disabilities Resource Board. I stopped by there 2 weeks ago. But this new one is in O'Fallon. It's at the Recovery Center. It's in O'Fallon. I don't actually know where it is. Oh, it's at
The O'Fallon Municipal Center, 100 North Main Street,
there. It
right,
is.
right, sort of by the city hall.
There it
Yeah.
is. You know, even if you have just
Get this. Yeah, it's all the things that they offer that the money can be used for is actually pretty expansive. It's
it's very expensive.
so if it could be used for rental assistance if you need to relocate because of flood damage, personal property that was damaged or destroyed by flooding, lodging reimbursement if you had to stay in a hotel temporarily, basic home repairs, other serious needs caused by recent flooding.
Yeah, it's very expansive. And essentially, if you were hurt, if your property was damaged, if anything you own was damaged by this flood, they will basically cover it for you. It's a very, very broad policy. It happens very rarely, you know. For example, Noah, when we had that tornado over Christmas last year, you and I reported on that. Um, we did not qualify for federal assistance, even though there was hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage. We couldn't qualify for FEMA assistance because there wasn't enough money lost.
Didn't hit that threshold.
Yep.
Mm. And the whole thing, I think me and you talked about this, or maybe we didn't. Maybe this is a conversation I imagined. But the whole thing about like this wasn't this was like a 10,000 year flood or something. This was like something that they call it to where it happens just uh incredibly rarely. But can you believe that, Sam? And I'm not criticizing the FEMA people, that they're literally like pretty much coming door to door, man to man in my neighborhood in O'Fallon, asking if there was any flood damage.
Well, I think part of it is the administration wants to look like they're being responsive to needs. They're doing the same thing down in Kentucky where there was massive, massive damage, massive loss of life. I mean, dozens of people were killed down there.
Wow. Well, if you need flood support, they're open. The Disaster Recovery Center at the O'Fallon Municipal Center is open. After this Sunday, September 4th, all 6 of the FEMA disaster recovery centers in the area will be open, but they're open every day except Sunday. They're open Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And they're even open on Labor Day, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., which is a federal holiday. So it's interesting they're open on that day. Good for them.
Yeah, the folks who run these operations are travel people exclusively. They go disaster to disaster. They're a lot like the Red Cross. The folks that I met in St. Charles City weren't from here. They were from Texas, Nevada, North Carolina.
And St. Charles County got hit like money wise worse than St. Louis County or St. Louis City, right?
I don't know that for a fact.
Or is that not
All
clear?
we
Maybe that,
know for
yeah.
all we know for a fact is the threshold was met. They basically stopped counting once the
Yeah.
threshold's met.
And they have three locations in St. Louis County. They have one in Ferguson, one in University City, and one in Hazelwood. So maybe they were maybe it's pretty comparable.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. And one in St. Louis City as well
Well,
at the
Sam,
Rankin
yeah,
College.
yeah, that's right, that's right. Well, let's wrap up here, Sam, and talk about something that made us smile this week on our segment called the Weekly Smile. Sam, what was your weekly smile?
Can I say this? Can I say it? It's pumpkin spice latte season. What a cop out. What a cop out here. I'm disappointed in myself. I'm really disappointed in myself that this is it. But look, fall is one of my favorite times of the year, arguably my favorite time of the year. Frankly, my birthday is in the fall. I've always had fond memories of the fall. I'm a big sweater guy. I'm always cold, so adding that extra layer is always helpful. But um, pumpkin spice latte.
That's good, Sam. That's really good. I think I have to say something that really made me smile is I got to spend time with our little niece. That's actually who we went to the zoo with, who's turning 4 very soon. And that is just such a fun age, especially someone who hangs out with a 7-month-old baby all the time. Little, soon about to be 4-year-olds are very interesting. They have so many things to say. They're very smart, and my little niece is one of the smartest. So it just made me smile to talk to her and hang out with her. So Sam, take us home.
Well, folks, thanks for listening. You can find out more about our program at sccc.substack.com. You can also do it on our website at stcharlestoday.com. We post there pretty regularly. And we'll be posting even more as we enter the fall. We're sort of recommitted to doubling down here at the St. Charles County Correspondent. If you liked what you heard, drop us a note. You can do that at our email, scccorrespondent@gmail.com, and leave us a comment. And we'd love to talk about stuff that you find interesting here in St. Charles County. That's what we do here. But for Noah Brand, I'm Sam Staffa. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week on the St. Charles County Correspondent.